Continuing with our coverage of the World Economic Forum, earlier Godfrey Mutizwa caught up with Fred Phaswana, chairman at Standard Bank, and asked him what was different about this year's gathering at Davos.
Every gathering in Davos is different because each gathering is based on what is happening in the world at a particular point in time.
Right.
So this year, there are themes going through, and those themes are considering the crisis in the world. What new models are emerging?
Yes.
What new models should we be thinking about?
Right.
Now, that question suggests that models are required. It doesn't say which models.
It's asking for suggestions, ideas.
It's asking for a discussion across the political spectrum,
Right.
the business spectrum, NGOs, civil society. So we come here to discuss those issues.
Is that conversation warranted, though, from your view? And you've been around a long time.
I think that conversation is warranted in the sense that as the world gets more complicated, it is no longer possible for one nation or one company to solve all these problems.
Sure.
We all have to have a multilateral way of looking at things.
Sure.
Yeah.
Now, you have been talking to various people here. I'd imagine, apart from the sessions that you've been attending, you've also been talking to people on a bilateral basis.
Yeah.
Those conversations, are they in any way shifting from the previous years when we knew that when people talked about Africa, they talked about a continent that was supposedly hopeless, where there were no opportunities, and all you could talk about was risk and how high a premium you should demand for any capital that you deploy to Africa? Has there been any shift in that conversation?
I think the shift has been happening over the past 18 months or so. I think I'm probably safe when I say hardly any other big company in the world will not have as part of its strategy looking into emerging markets.
Sure.
And particularly looking into Africa. You look at the growth rates, you look at the returns, they're all very positive in Africa in a world which is fairly depressed. So Africa does seem to be occupying many people's minds positively.
Have you done any deals here?
Not here, no. I haven't done any deals here.
You laid the groundwork for any deals.
What we're doing is laying groundworks for deals. I mean, the challenges still remain, though.
Yeah.
If you attended this morning's session where the African presidents were talking about opportunities for Africa,
Yeah.
it's very clear that political leaders are thinking the same way about what the obstacles are, how they should be resolved.
That's the question I was going to ask you. Is there that buy-in? Because one of the sessions that I attended at the South African briefing this morning, they spoke about how, yes, you have these promises, yes, you have these agreements, but at the end, what you are finding, what you're running into in terms of a brick wall is the lack of political will to implement some of the agreements that have been made, sometimes amongst governments themselves and then between the private sector.
I think one of the presidents put it very succinctly. I believe the political will is there, but these things are very difficult to shift because there are practical things of investment, there are practical things of getting many different actors to work together to achieve all these aims. I have no doubt myself that the political leaders have the will, but the business community has to get in there and also assist. So it's a question of coordination now as we move forward.
Now, of course, you as Standard Bank are the biggest bank in Africa by assets and perhaps in the number of countries that you are in as Standard Bank, because we know others are there through alliances and stuff. But now, from a Standard Bank perspective, you are already, I think, in over 17 African countries. What are we looking at in terms of Standard Bank growing forward to try and harness the opportunities that we're all talking about?
I think our strategy is based on Africa. Africa's development. In fact, we're going to concentrate more and more on Africa rather than the rest of the world. And it's a concentration on Africa which says we're an African bank, but we will follow all of those customers who deal from Africa into the rest of the world. We will facilitate that. And in fact, our partnership with the ICBC Bank in China, who, as you know, has 20% in our bank, also reinforces that ability out of Africa to be dealing with the rest of the world.